She helped me pack it.
Okay, Jerry,
Yeah.
you gonna be around tomorrow, or you gonna,
Probably, yes.
okay, you're gonna be here, John's gonna be here in the morning. Cindy?
I'm Cindy Wilton, this is my husband Bruce. Valentine, we're married, don't have different names. We live right behind Joanne and Kenny. We've lived here since 2005. So we're right across the street from it.
And some of the folks you're gonna talk with are three-generation people here. I mean, you've got grandparents, kids, and grandchildren.
Kenny,
Well, sorry, Ken.
And fourth and fifth on the way.
They're husband and wife there.
I'm Marty Austin. I'm John's wife, live in Rehoboth. We moved here full-time from Maryland in 2004.
Okay, and can you say whether you're impacted by this proposal of the chicken plant?
It pisses me off.
Plus her husband's always over here.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
She's not across the
angers me.
street, but she's across the river, so.
Yeah, it angers me because I listen to the con calls. I mean, I'm working, I have my own business, and but I'm listening to the con calls and the conversations. And it angers me that the state government is not a steward of their constituents.
Thank you, well put.
Very good.
Jean, you gonna be around?
Gene Wharton, I'm Jerry's husband. I'm a native, grew up down here. And I was here before the pickle plant, and it's different, that's all.
You smell the vinegar.
Okay,
You really smell the vinegar.
for the nice lasagna and, some beverage later, Lou?
Well, that was my wife and sister-in-law.
Oh,
Those.
Lou
I'm Lou
Podolsky.
And we have a cottage down on Potts Point Road, just around the corner. And at some point, we'll probably be full-time retired here, but we still have our home in DC. And so we go back and forth, but we're spending a lot more time down here, and obviously are not happy to be looking at the possibility of spending a lot more time with a lot more chickens.
All right, keep your trunk loaded.
Was that fact disclosed to you when you purchased your property?
No, of course.
Okay, just
Lou,
look, just
Lou, what do
look.
you do for a living?
I'm retired.
Well,
No.
what did you work for?
Oh, well, I'm a retired Fed. I spent 37 years in the federal government, most of it in the Commerce Department with economic development and international trade, but I finished my career at FEMA for about 10 years, and then ended up as the director of policy for FEMA.
and wasn't it when you spoke at June 3rd, we all stood up and clapped for him?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
we all
Because
stood up.
Lou was the one who said, I don't think you're prepared to make a
Yes.
decision this
Neither
evening.
were we.
Yeah.
And they still aren't. Didn't stop them.
Okay, no, Ken, are you gonna be around tomorrow?
No.
Okay, so,
No. We're, yeah, Ken Curry. We moved down here about 5 years ago from Harrisburg. Lived in Erie before that, if you know where that is. The wilds of northwestern Pennsylvania. We're gonna put our house up for sale real soon.
both of them. Oh, no! We have two on one street.
No, I'm just kidding.
I just gave him his water report, that's why.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it, Ken.
I work for, I think I said this before, I work for the Department of Environmental Protection in Harrisburg. I was one of the IT information technology managers. My last 5 years I did data mining. That was absolutely, positively fascinating. I didn't want to leave, but I was falling asleep. At 3 or 4 in the afternoon, after 40 years of work, I figured it's time to go.
Was.
That's it.
Well, you don't live far from here, right? You're just down
No.
there.
No, a couple, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. There's about 10 developments here. Developments can be very loosely used, but Sussex County, I found out, has about 800 developments. Most of them have homeowner associations. I don't know if Possum Point does.
They used to.
And most of them are incorporated, not all of them. Some have private roads. I think you have private roads. Some have public roads. That's something you won't find in Pennsylvania. That's a unique down here throughout Sussex County. It's very different, and that means that outside the incorporated towns, okay, and cities, there's basically a lot of these developments who are kind of self-governing in a way, okay? And that's really different than in Pennsylvania because you have 2,600 municipalities in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, in fact, has more municipalities, municipal subdivisions, than any state in the nation, okay? That's how many that there are. Here, most of the area is unincorporated, outside of a town, outside of a city, and yet there's 800 of these developments. Ours is very small. I think we have 30 homes. Some are 250, 400. I believe the big one back here, Millwood, is going to approach 400 by the time they build it completely. So you should know that about the lay of the land here. It's very different politically.
Cindy, we need a mill pond lady tomorrow.
Mill Pond, I was in over the
Yeah.
summer.
Okay, and then we have
Had a fellow
Judy,
sitting in the
you're not gonna
garage.
be around tomorrow, you Judy?
And
Okay.
the fella said, I
I don't
just
think
found
I'm gonna
out
make it
chickens
much
was
longer
just
here.
coming in.
Tonight,
Brand new home.
I'm fading
Wasn't
fast.
I thought they had
Well,
flown.
there's one other point I would make, I don't know if anybody's interested, but there are some beers on the front porch.
I saw them, I thought Santa Claus was here.
Did you call my name?
Beers or deer?
Years.
Is there anything else?
No. Anybody
Okay,
that's interested,
the
feel
only
free.
other thing I need to say, I've been
One
down
more.
here for 42
One
years.
more, Maria's husband.
I'm Fred Payan. Just like that lady, I'm pissed off too.
They live in
Why I'm here,
Pennsylvania also.
basically.
Okay,
Donnie, you want me to go?
anyway, what?
Alright, I'm Kenny Haynes, that's my wife. I'm fairly new here as a full-time resident. I spent I've been down here since 1952. You guys call them a
Hang with him, he
weekend
has a
warrior.
hard time remembering.
Yeah, well, the memory's fading.
Water!
Is that what it is? I'm 61 now. I was 2 weeks old when I had my first boat ride in this river right out here.
Oh my.
I've been down here
Oh, my.
as a kid for the entire summer from the day school stopped to the day school started.
He'd drive his bicycle right off the
I do
pier
see,
and right in the
yeah.
river.
As Dottie was saying, you know, some of us are third generation. I am the third generation. Down here, my grandparents owned this house I took you down to earlier. And my parents owned it presently through the estate. I'm going to be owning that house in probably a couple weeks to a month.
Okay, but you're gonna be around tomorrow and you're gonna be available for interviews by any of the students,
Yes, I will be here.
okay?
As they say, my phone works, to hell with yours. Oh, I
Okay,
spent 30 years in a phone company.
Guy,
I'm
Samantha.
I'm Samantha Wilton, this is Elena Wilton, and we. Now you don't talk. We live with Bruce and Miss Cindy, and we've been affected quite a bit with it. But I'm born and raised Sussex County, and I'm born and raised Bruce, so. Hopefully we talk to you guys tomorrow.
Okay, if there's someone here you wanna, catch before they leave, tonight would be the night to do it. I'm gonna be around, I've been here for over 40-some years, and don't plan on going anywhere. So I'll be around tomorrow, to talk with you about one of the most important things that I do in this community, is I woke up dreaming about a word called conduit. And conduit is nothing but a means from one to another. So if I connect people like John Austin, if I connect, people from different places, they're resourceful people. So if I pull them together, I've been through the chicken plant, Mount Air, before it was Townsend. I've been through the chicken plant, grew up with the chicken manure. Secondly, we did the power plant thing on this side of the river. Just like John said, if you don't know, when I tried to get data and statistics for the power plant and the emissions there when they were burning coal, If you don't know the right people and you don't know the right questions, you just don't get it. My family doctor, public health, the government offices, they won't talk to you. You've got to know what you want and how to get it. So if I can pull the community together and people like Maria, my gosh, what would we do without her? What would we do without you? We thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Every one of you guys, thank you for.
So grab whoever you want to talk with. They'll be around tomorrow. We're going to start at 9.
Why, hello.
Oh my gosh! You talk about. Why were late? Come in here.
Come in, Art.
Like, put on your slide. Come on, put that granite.
Are you by yourself?
Yeah.
Come
Arthur,
and sit down.
Arthur has one of the prettiest spots down here on the river. And how many years you been here, Art?
Bought it in 1968.
1968, and he's an old Sussex Countyan, and he's been our postmaster in Georgetown, and
No,
he,
not postmaster.
well,
Just worked there.
okay. Tell us a little about yourself, because we need to. He's tied up tomorrow. Tell him what you're doing.
Well, I'm retired from Postal Service, but I farm. I got 9 school buses until the end of February. I just sold them, so hoping to have a little more free time. Spend some more time down here maybe. So anyway, I don't know.
Anyway, Art's down the street. He's got the most beautiful sunsets in his backyard, and I guess we wouldn't be down
He's the
here.
first peer. Right off.
And
He's the
Jay,
very
who's not here,
You were on the second.
takes some of the most beautiful sunset pictures
Oh,
off
yeah.
There's
our
Yeah.
thing that's on
Yeah.
their
There's one right up there.
Dorothy,
What does-
is he married or single?
Oh, Art
Are you
will
married or
not be here.
single?
Art will not be here tomorrow. But in talking with his wife, I found the most beautiful little romantic love story. He met his wife at the Dairy Queen, and he is married. Tell us about your family, Art.
Well,
Thank you. Just a little bit.
I've been married 43 years. And we did meet at Dairy Queen in Georgetown, which is no longer there. We have 2 children. Our son, who is the oldest, he's a federal law enforcement officer stationed in Welton, Arizona. My daughter, she lives on the farm. She works at Mid-Atlantic Farm Credit, so I shouldn't have much trouble getting loans.
What are your feelings on the proposal?
On the proposal,
What the proposal over here?
well, I don't like it,
No.
but my feeling is it's coming, but,
Well, he,
so.
I know it come out sooner or later.
Bend over, here it comes again.
You're gonna have to edit this, you know that.
Just today, there's a farm for sale near me, in fact, I join it. And I noticed 3 cars there, and my neighbor, he always walks down, he's retired, and he walks down whatever I'm working on, he chips in, Anyway, so he talked to him, and he said, I don't know if he knows for sure, but he said it looked like a lady, a Korean lady, and she wants to build chicken houses there. So, which,
the first of the 100.
Yep.
Yeah, first of hundreds.
Could be 100 plus.
Well, it stinks now in the summer.
I would think that the farms would be kind of apprehensive about another country coming in and that, are they?
Bird?
Yeah, you guys probably.
Are they apprehensive being that it's like not a US company, does that affect?
I don't know, I mean, I'm just a grain farmer, so,
Right.
I don't have poultry, but,
This is a new kind of bird they're putting here. It's a ginseng bird, which is a smaller bird. It's, I forget what it's a cross between, but it's a
Male
cross.
and female, or male broilers.
And
It's not in the United States yet.
most of that product is gonna be shipped back to Korea.
60%.
After it's cooked and processed over here.
60%.
probably.
Well, isn't that it?
I know your focus is on.
So pissed off and worked up. Yeah, you have to
this
have a
one
cardiac cath. I
plant
just
and
can't look
its
through it
case
any-
story.
Between the
Well,
Republicans and
probably-
everything,
probably
I'm done.
Good tonight to talk about a larger environmental issue.
I made YouTube last year.
Chickens a year in Delaware create another environmental issue that is bigger than this plant. And that is manure.
Yeah.
This state is generating more, the balance of being able to grow grain, feed it to chickens, use the manure to fertilize the fields has been exceeded in this area. The overconcentration of one industry in one area has exceeded the resources of the area to support the industry. There's more chickens here than there is enough grain grown. And so grain must be shipped by rail from the Midwest here to feed the chickens. There's more manure generated by the chicken plants than can possibly be placed on the available fields in Delaware and the entire Delmarva Peninsula. Therefore, what was normal practice by the farmers here was you got manure, you're growing corn or soybeans, put it on the fields with no regard for what was the nutrient balance that you needed on the field. Well, due to the waste implementation plan of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, here in Delaware, it has a different name. It's subject plan, a pollution implementation, an SIP for this area. The bottom line is, farmers in Delaware are allowed to put on their fields through a nutrient management plan the nutrients needed for the crop they're growing, with no regard for how many pounds of nitrogen and phosphorus are already currently available on the field. In Maryland is much more progressive than Delaware and have set laws that now require that the farmers in Maryland can only put on the field the nutrient needs of their crop, taking into account what's already there. So if the crop needs so many pounds of nitrogen to grow corn or soybean, whatever the difference is between what's the current level of nutrients in the field, they can add, which really says, well, oops, manure has a lot of phosphorus, a lot of nitrogen.
Nitrates.
Nitrate.
And because of too much nitrogen and too much phosphorus, if you go on Google and look back at this area of the Indian River, you'll see about 2006, which was a drought year, about the only flow in the river in that springtime was groundwater flow. There was no rainfall. And it turned the river into green soup. It looks greener than the Chicago River on St. Patty's Day. You can't see the difference between land, river, and land. It's like it's even green across the Google Earth image.
You can even walk on it.
And so
I'm old.
laws here have not caught up with Maryland, but we're already suffering under an excess of manure that's currently over 230,000 tons a year of manure that doesn't have a home. And of the three major growers, Purdue, Montanier, and Allen, only one of them takes any responsibility for the manure generated by the farms, and that is Purdue. Allen and Montanier function like
They're the boss.
they're the boss. The quote growers. The growers have a loan, oftentimes from the processor, that they use to build their houses. The grower, oh well.
We're gonna have to cut it short.
Yeah.
I'm saving for tomorrow.
Well, this will not be tomorrow because I'm on a whole other topic.
Yeah, I know.
But essentially,
But there's refreshments in the kitchen.
growers here own nothing other than when they go to have their crop taken, the birds that go to the processing house, they're paid by pound of bird delivered at the end. If the bird dies, gets sick, they own it. Manure, they own it. They own all the problems and have to make profit on giving healthy birds to the processor. If it doesn't make it to the processor, they don't make any money. And so some growers here have gone into the business and haven't done well. I mean, if you're not keeping your crop of birds healthy and you're not really on it, you know, you could be financially wiped out as a grower by, you know, if your house got diseased, you're out of luck. You could be wiped out and bankrupt.
That's one of the things too, you know, when you talk about contract growers, it's such an unfair, I referenced to some of that before. You know, literally most contract growers are in a position because farming has kind of taken on a whole different lifestyle that they're told, you know, they gotta get big or they gotta get out. So when somebody goes into a contract with like Purdue or Mount Air or one of the you know, big ag, when they go into that, usually they have to mortgage their farm. And often it's like something that's been in their family for generations. They have to take loans to put the houses on the farms. And let's face it, once the houses are done, they're not an investment. There's nothing else you can do with them. I mean, drive down Route 54 and you'll see it looks like, you know, Sanford and Son. It's all big, humongous storage sheds. But a lot of the problem is the grower is not compensated fairly for the product. They have to take the loans for the actual buildings. They get paid for only the live weight, and they have to dispose of the mortality. They have to dispose of the manure, the litter. So it's really unbalanced. A lot of these farmers go in and they'll borrow $1 million to put up multiple houses. And then the problem, I know a grower in North Carolina real well, and he said, Maria, I've been in this business for 20 years and I haven't made a nickel, because every 4 or 5 years they'll come back to him and tell him, hey, if you want to keep your contract, you have to upgrade your water system, go back to the bank, borrow another $150,000, so they're constantly kept in debt. Well, if they're in debt, then they're in contract, you know, and that's one of the unfair things, because here, the farmer's doing all the work. I mean, literally, they are doing all the work, and they're not getting a fair cut out of, you know, the deal. It's like they're kind of become a middleman now, with, you know, buying direct from them. They get 100% of the profit, somebody that, so.
And they don't have the wherewithal to dispose of the waste as it should be, to either process it and ship it somewhere else where it's needed or whatever. They don't have that, so they just spread it.
And right now, you know, the regulations are just caught up with the farmer, and farmers on both sides of the border are wondering what they're going to do with their manure.
Do they just give it away, or can they sell it to other states? I mean,
It's, well, the only viable recycling of chicken manure in this area currently is the Purdue composting plant, which to me seems environmentally sound. I mean, it comes in as a fertilizer waste worth $19 a ton, and it's leaving going out as a Holly Grove fertilizer being bagged and pelletized and sold nationwide at a value of over $100 a ton. So there's value added by composting manure, but that's only at the moment, like, I don't know, a portion of the manure being generated in Delaware. There's manure being shipped as far north as Pennsylvania for growing mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
In Kennett Square.
Yeah.
Where at?
In Kennett Square.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Replace the horseshoe?
Big mushroom facility.
Oh, it is.
Capital of the.
That and Reading, Pennsylvania is another big one.
I never heard of Kent Square.
It's Kennett Square. It's just
Just
west of Philly.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia? Okay.